so that let people not go into drugs. And for those who have made the mistake of going into drug addiction, let's treat them and make them,
before I come
useful to themselves.
Ekene, who has had experience dealing with these people, I'm sure. Before we come to her, let's look at how this can be treated. Let's look at what are the, because excessive addictive use of drugs for non-medical purposes. Now, there are those who say, I mean, those who are into chemistry and would say, there's cocaine in the drugs that are taking, the Panadol, paracetamol, and all that. I don't know. I'm just saying what I heard. But there's cocaine, there's heroin mixed up in some of these drugs we take. But let's just know the drugs that are how do you say that, hard illicit drugs.
Okay,
there's cocaine, there's heroin, there's amphetamines, cannabis, ecstasy drugs.
Exactly.
But can you specifically name some?
Basically, there are 3 plant-based drugs.
Plant-based?
Plant-based. Cannabis. You get it from the cannabis plant, of which cannabis sativa. Then you have cocaine, which is from the coca plant. Then you have heroin from the opium poppy. So these are the 3 plant-based drugs. Then, because of legislation against these drugs, dealers want to circumvent the law. So they now, that led to the advent of psychotropic substances, synthetic drugs. These are substances that, they get from synthesis of various chemicals to mimic, psychoactive substances like cocaine, heroin, and cannabis. And a good example is the methamphetamine. Before now, methamphetamine, was imported into Nigeria, from here taken back to Europe, America, and Asia. But like the first question you asked, that Nigeria used to be a transit. So there is a shift now in the global, international drug trade. From North America, rather than take cocaine straight to Europe and Asia, there is high focus on those routes. So they are not targeting Africa and West Africa. And that is why you see that we have made, in the past 20-something years, we have made over 20,000 kilograms of cocaine in Nigeria here. Then recently, we have also discovered clandestine laboratories for the manufacture of methamphetamine. We have discovered 11 so far between 2011 to date, and the last one that was discovered in March in Asaba was a super laboratory. And this got us thinking, why a super lab? The difference between an ordinary lab and a super lab is that those ordinary lab has a capacity to produce between 20 to 50 kilograms per production cycle. But this one that was discovered can produce between 3,000 to 4,000 kilograms of methamphetamine within a production cycle, which can be just 1 week. And a kilogram, which costs between, let's say, $10,000 to $20,000, is about $200,000 when it gets to Asia or Europe. And the problem again is that the cost of a ton of cocaine in Europe far exceeds the military budget of any West African country put together.
Mitchell, slow down. Okay. Are you implying that this super lab was producing for export?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Well,
exactly.
Should I say that's consoling? I mean, even though it's little consolation.
It's not.
Because that means that we don't have that huge market for it in Nigeria.
No, we don't have
That's what
that.
This says.
Yes, we don't have that huge market. And the drug trafficking organizations are not even interested in Nigerian market because it won't pay them. Because of the huge
We're not rich
price,
enough.
Because of the huge price difference. So they want to reach out to the rich market. Why would you sell a kilogram of your drug for between 10 and 20,000 when you can make 200,000 for that same kilogram? So it doesn't make sense. But the major threat for us as a country is that this illicit wealth derived from drug trafficking could be channeled into terrorism, could be channeled into politics to enthrone the bad guys, in quote, people who do not have the interests of the common man at heart. And of course, people that will fuel crisis rather than peace and development. So that is why drug control is very key to the entire world.
Okay.
And the Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations is pursuing has been likened to effective drug control because they are mutually reinforcing and complementary.
Okay.
So if we need a society that will develop at a much faster rate as we expect, we must take drug control
Seriously.
very seriously.
Okay. Okay, Ikene. He's spoken about cocaine and heroin and methamphetamines. We also have heard that some people sniff glue and
Yes.
cough mixture
Yes.
and gum
Yes.
and stuff like that. Please tell us about that.
You know, in drug abuse, there's categories. Like he has mentioned, part of that. You have
This
under
is talking about the big boys.
yes,
Okay.
narcotic. You have all these ones that are under something like miscellaneous. They might not have a particular group,
Miscellaneous.
but people get to get high through this. Like he said, it's part of brain that is actually working with that. For that moment, the person gets high, and with one or two reasons, like I said, within our community, that causes people to go into that and continuous. Like you say something about codeine. Codeine, a little bit of that is in our cough syrup. That is why they take cough syrup. And the person takes that cough syrup and gets what he wants from there. That satisfaction. That being high. That getting to do things he wouldn't have done without taking that. The person keeps going for it.
Okay, so from your experience working with these people, how are they? And how do you deal with them to get them out of addiction?
It's not very easy. And that is the challenge in the society. Getting them out is a very difficult thing, but you can work with them. It's a gradual thing. We know change is not something that will just instant. We work towards influencing that. We have different projects we do. We integrate prevention into that. We take it to their center, to their bunk, or we get to the base, their base. Then you talk to them about that. First of all, you need to find out what makes the person to go into that. You need to relate. You need to create that kind of friendship,
Trust.
with the person, and the person will trust you and be able to let out. And on that friendship level, the person will be able to tell you what led him or her into that.
Do they even accept that they are addicted?
There are some of them that do accept. They know. That is why you can have a bunch of them together. Maybe you have a program, you integrate a health program into their activities, they'll be able to come and buy into it. There are those that will accept, there are those that will not. But there are those that will accept, they know. Because there is these questions that you do ask when you're discussing with them. First of all, have you ever feel guilty, something like that, when you take, after taking drinks or smoking or something like that? Have you had people reacting or criticizing you for doing this? You get to talk, they express, and they tell you how they feel when they get to hear that. There are still some of them that will not tell you. And like he said, getting into crime. If somebody is in need of the drug and there's no money, the person can sell anything within the person's possession to get the cash to buy.
Or if possible, steal from someone
Of
or
course.
harm someone to
Of
collect
course,
what
to
is...
get that at that moment.
I think I'd like to come in here. Yes. Parents need to watch out for these flashpoints, the indicators, because most, from experience, when people come to us seeking for counseling, we ask a few questions. How well do you monitor your children? It's not enough to pay expensive school fees. Do you pay impromptu visits, even in the house?